ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
Not able to hear you. Who was saying something?
Ma'am, Akriti was greeting you.
Yeah, her voice is not coming. All right, so how have you been, all of you?
Ma'am, good.
Just good, not great.
Yes, ma'am, great.
अब तो सर्दी का मौसम भी चला गया, so great होना चाहिए.
Ma'am, but I like winter more than summer.
Yeah, that's true. Even I like winters more. Okay. So, how have been your classes so far? I heard that you have not been attending the classes regularly. Not many of you.
Ma'am, these days sir is teaching us about the rule or laws of HR, or the employee. Sorry. Bonus Act, Factory Act, Employee Compensation Act. These.
So laws are complete or still going on?
Still going on, ma'am.
Okay. Good. So what we are going to do is today, I'll just take you through a recap of whatever you have learned so far in terms of your performance management system incomplete, because the next two topics that I'm going to take, which is succession planning and training and development, are an integral part of performance management system, right? So I need to understand how much have you understood performance management system, how much have you revised whatever sir has taught you, and so we are just taking you through a recap of that. Yeah, just give me a moment and I'll share the screen. Okay, here we go. So what is it?
Ma'am, what is performance management system?
So we are going to do a very quick quiz, right? So it is a quiz also, and side by side we will be able to understand how much each topic that has been covered in performance management system you have understood really well. Right, so what we are going to today is there are a number of questions in each slide. So there are approximately 19 slides that are going to be there, and in each slide there is a question. And each question is basically a quiz question that's for each one of you, and everybody will have to answer.
Okay, ma'am.
The best part would be if you have a notebook in front of you somewhere, or maybe a document, Word document. What you can do is you can write down your answers there. Just click, just say that question number 1, option B, question number 2, option C, something like that you can do, and send it across to me immediately after the classes are over.
Okay, ma'am.
You got it?
Yes, ma'am.
Where is everybody? Why the cameras are not on?
Ma'am, I have some network issues.
Sure, whosoever is having network issue can close their cameras down, but it cannot happen for everyone, na? Akriti, Adiricha, Prachi, Ruchi.
Ma'am, I have a network issue too because I'm using mobile data.
Okay. Gets it going? That's your first question. So the process in which leaders provide a rationale for each employee's performance appraisal rating, and follow with the discussion to ensure rating alignment is called. Don't answer here, just write down your answer. That's all. And no cheating from the internet. If you have not understood the question, you can ask that. That's not an issue.
मैम द क्वेश्चन इज मतलब कि हमें रेटिंग देनी है ना, मतलब एम्प्लॉयज परफॉर्मेंस की.
No.
In which leaders
The
provide
question is that
ma'am.
if a leader is providing rating to each employee on their performance appraisal, उसके बाद जो discussion होता है for alignment, what is it called? That discussion का नाम क्या है? Is it feedback, calibration, alignment, or assessment? So you can write down question number 1, answer A, B, C, D, whatever you feel is correct.
the proposal leaders provide a ratio each employee performance appraisal rating and follow the discussion to ensure rating alignment with
Done? Shall we move to the next question?
Yes ma'am.
Yes,
Yes
ma'am.
ma'am.
All right. So the next question is pitfalls with continuous feedback performance models include. Pitfalls means limitations, barriers, क्या चीजें आती हैं when you are giving continuous feedback on different performance models. क्या क्या चीजें आती हैं? Inconsistency among leaders, unclear or missing documentation, a lack of action-oriented feedback, or all of the above.
pitfall with continuous feedback performance module. And we are making document. Medical action is into feedback.
Everybody understood the question well?
Pitfall with continuous feedback performance.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Done?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Yes ma'am.
Next question is true or false? Soliciting anonymous feedback that is quick and easy to provide from co-workers and others in organization will result in higher response rates and the ability to timely identify and address performance issues. Is it true or false?
Ma'am,
Sorry, can you please explain the meaning of question?
So soliciting and anonymous feedback is basically, it's about, how do I say, soliciting का English Hindi word even I don't know.
मैम एनोनिमस तो मतलब कि किसी को ना पता चले ऐसी
Correct,
स्थिति.
correct.
Yes, ma'am.
Right? So
Yes,
अगर
ma'am.
आप solicite करते हो इसका मतलब आप कंपनी के अंदर if you prefer, right? So suppose preferably अगर anonymous feedback आ रहा है कंपनी में, so do you think it is providing higher response rate and the ability to timely identify and address performance issues? So there are two scenarios, right? One is anonymous feedback that comes, or one is feedback that comes face to face. So which works best for addressing issues? Okay, you have some negative feedback about the organization or about somebody, maybe your manager in the company, and you don't want to write down your name on the feedback, right? You want to give that feedback to somebody in the organization, maybe to an HR person, right? Do you think the action would be much quicker because you are anonymous, that you're not telling your name, you are not closing your identity, or it would be faster when you are going and giving face to face?
Ma'am, when there is a name or something, that will be much faster.
Don't say your answers the right, true or false, whether this statement is true or false, right? We will come back to this. जैसे ये quiz खत्म होने वाला है, you are going to send the answers and then we will discuss this quiz today. Next is a common error when evaluating employee performance in which the rater does not diligently measure performance, provide feedback and document results, and often cannot remember the earlier part of the performance period is called a recency effect, halo effect, lack of differentiation, or personal bias.
Or if common error when evaluating employee performance means the rate does not diligently measure performance. Cannot remember the earlier part of the performance period. Recency, one.
कौन सा एरर होता है जब हम पास्ट की परफॉर्मेंस भूल जाते हैं and then we only look into the latest information that we have?
Recency effect, I think.
You don't have to say it, you have to write it down and you have to send it to me. जो यहाँ बोलेगा उसका 1 मार्क कट जाएगा, ठीक है?
Sorry. Ma'am, this is question number 4, na?
Yes, this is question number 4.
Okay.
Next is, what approach should employers take when an employee goes on leave after receiving a disciplinary warning with a specified period for correction? So you have an employee जिसका appraisal हो गया है and you have given him some disciplinary warning because his performance is not up to the mark. His discipline and punctuality is not up to the mark. और वो अचानक छुट्टी पे चला जाता है, then what are you going to do?
It was the disciplinary period as though the employee was actively working.
Yeah, so number 1 is either you enforce the disciplinary period as though the employee were actively working. Second is you stop the clock and suspend the disciplinary period until the employee returns to work. Third is you don't care, disregard the disciplinary warning and allow the employee to start fresh, or none of the above. Done?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, just 1 minute, please.
Sure. Take your time.
Stop the clock and suspend disciplinary warning.
Done?
Done, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Everybody?
Yes, ma'am.
Alright, next is, what is performance management? Which one you associate with? Interpersonal influence exercised by a leader in specific situation or in response to the critical incident or development opportunity. Second is formal and more general feedback and information at predetermined intervals. Third is the employee becomes the best he or she can based on internal gifts, qualities, and values. As a result, performance in many areas almost always improves. And the last one is have the employee understand and accept changes that will increase his or her effectiveness and performance. Which one, according to you, is the correct definition of performance management?
Evaluate and discuss your situation.
Ma'am, we can mention it as a B, C, D.
Just mention ABCD.
Critical incident. Formal and not formal feedback. Intervals. International exercise valid in a special situation. We become the best initial platform. Don't have to change it. Predetermined intervals. Interpersonal influence explains by situations often response to critical general feedback and formal influence. 20% influence exercised by parents and critical feedback and information.
Yeah. Now onwards, we are going to do these quiz regularly. I think almost every weekend we should introduce one. ठीक क्या हो जाएगा?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
याद हो
ma'am.
जाएगा ना, रिवीजन भी है. It's like a quick revision of whatever you have studied.
Right, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Done? Shall we move to the next one?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. All right, next is easy. Again, true false. Performance management is about setting mutually agreed upon goals. True or false?
Management support setting mutually agreed.
Done?
Yes, ma'am.
Easy था ये वाला तो.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Next one is also easy. Performance management is about just the appraisal form and system. Done?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. This is again ABCD. The performance management cycle model presented in class includes all but which item? Done?
Yes, ma'am.
Give me a
Yes,
thumbs
ma'am.
up when you're done, right? So that I move.
Okay, ma'am.
All right. Again, true or false. So one of the key reasons you help employees set goals is to plan and agree upon the behaviors you want from your employees. State true or false. Why do you help people in your organization to write down their goals or into goal setting? Is it so that they can behave the way you want them to behave in an organization, or there is something else?
Ma'am, done.
Okay, so it's a tricky one. Huh? Srishti, you want to ask something, or is it for done?
Mistake, ma'am. Mistake.
All right, so difficult performance management conversations focus on three main objectives. Choose the item amongst these four which does not belong to those three main objectives. Which of these you don't talk or discuss during the conversations?
Ma'am, done.
Done, everybody? Hima, Prachi, Adritya?
Ma'am, one second.
Just
बोल ही नहीं रहे हैं, सब चुपचाप बैठे हैं.
How many we have to select? Only one or three?
You have to select one which does not belong to the conversations you should have during performance management. Keep yourself on mute.
Yes, ma'am. Done.
Done? All of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Next is again managing employee performance includes A, B, C, or D.
Ma'am, done.
Monitoring and measuring performance, setting organizational goals, developing marketing strategy, or none of the above.
Done, ma'am.
Okay. Again, true and false. Many software vendor systems now feature tools designed to support more frequent performance discussions and to make it easier to track related learning and coaching activities. Is it true or false?
Ma'am, done.
Done, ma'am.
All right. Here comes the next one. Providing employees with advice, support, and encouragement in addition to guidance and direction for the future rather than reviewing past performance is an example of feed forward, feedback, recency approach, or none of the above. So in simpler terms, when we talk about future rather than talking about past, what is it called?
Ma'am, this is 14th question, right? Yes, ma'am. Done.
Done?
Yes, ma'am.
And this is the last one. Again, simple. Just true and false. Providing ongoing performance feedback can be challenging due to the increased time commitment and paperwork required.
Providing ongoing performance feedback can be challenging due to the increased paperwork
Ma'am,
required.
can you explain the meaning?
All right, so the meaning is when we are providing ongoing performance feedback, that means on a regular interval. Is it challenging task? We all know that, right? So it's challenging task because it involves time commitment and paperwork. That's what you have to say.
Ma'am, done.
Quickly send your answers on WhatsApp,
Yeah, ma'am.
then we will start the discussion.
Ma'am, on WhatsApp group or personally to you?
Personally kar do, group mein kar do, it doesn't matter. Everybody sending together. Next 2 minutes, everybody should send.
Okay, ma'am.
Ma'am, done?
Yes, done.
Okay.
और question चाहिए, we will do it next week. No, next topic. Right, only Shakti has sent so far. Srishti also. Hima also. Rest all? Vishakha, Ruchi?
Yes, ma'am, sending.
Yes, ma'am, sending in few minutes.
No, few minutes, just 2 minutes, that's all. Akriti is also here.
Ma'am, I have sent it, but because of network issue, it takes some time.
Who is saying this? Adiricha?
Yes, ma'am, I have sent it.
Akriti, ma'am.
Akriti, आ गया आपका. Yours I
Ma'am,
received.
ma'am, I have sent it, but due to some network issue.
Okay. Prachi, your left. Shakti का आ गया है.
Janvi, वो पूरा देखो आपको से मत सोया करो.
रुचि, प्राची, अधिरिचा. 3 left. नहीं, रुचि आ गया है. Right, रुचि आ गया है. विशाखा आ गया है. All right. Adiricha and Prachi left. Okay. So rest of you can do your own assessment. Let's start with the question number 1, right? What you understood and what you have answered. So the process in which leaders provide a rationale for each employee's performance appraisal rating and following with a discussion to ensure rating alignment is called. Quickly, now you can say.
Assessment.
Calibration.
Why do you say it's calibration?
Ma'am, assessment.
Assessment.
Assessment, ma'am.
Yeah. आगे?
Ma'am, feedback.
We are waiting for the answer who said calibration.
Yes, ma'am. I have read it after feedback and alignment. There is calibration process where all the performance appraisals are done. Means in sometimes they have to say it in brief.
I didn't get you. Okay, people who are saying it should be assessment, why are you saying it should be assessment?
Because it will assess like the process is rating and follow with a discussion to ensure rating alignment. Is the all the back works will be assessed or rate, and the examiner will say the employee ki आपको ये सुधारने की जरूरत है. That is why assessment.
Okay. And what else the question says? Read the question, Shrishti.
The process in which leaders provide a rationale for each employee's performance appraisal rating and follow with a discussion to ensure rating alignment is called.
Right. So that means the rating at this point in time is already done. What we are now getting into, that means the assessment part has already been done, right? You have given the rating, that means you have done the assessment, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Right? So now what is this process called?
Feedback.
Why feedback? What do we do in feedbacks?
Ma'am, giving the result or response of something.
Right, correct. So what we tell in feedback is what your performance has been and what you can do to do it better, right? What Akriti said is correct, calibration, but most likely she's not able to explain it. Maybe because internet की help लिया है यहाँ पर, right? So calibration, why this process is called calibration is because now you're getting into a discussion purely, so that your alignment and the employee's alignment is getting to be done on a same page, right? You're sharing the alignment, you're sharing the ratings, you're sharing the performance discussions, you're sharing everything that has already been done in the past. Right? Which means now you're coming into a calibration. What does calibration means in English or in Hindi? In general words, how do you define calibration?
Means combine milna, like
Correct.
So, ma'am, is it done individually or group?
It's always done individually for every employee. Performance management system becomes a very cumbersome process, and it still requires a lot of manual intervention purely because you cannot leave it to the what do you call it, softwares to run the complete performance management system individually, right? What performance management system by softwares can actually be done is the आपके formats बन जाएंगे, आपका form बन जाएगा, इमीडिएटली आपके रेटिंग्स आ जाएंगी. जो सब चीज़ें हम मैनुअली करते थे पहले, एक्सेल शीट्स बना के क्वांटिफाई कर रहे हैं, मैट्रिक्स डाल रहे हैं, हर एक चीज़ के बारे में बात कर रहे हैं, वो सब ऑटोमेटिकली हो गया है, सॉफ्टवेयर सिस्टम्स आ गए हैं, राइट? आई डोंट नो वेदर सर हैज़ गिवन यू एनी स्क्रीनशॉट्स ऑफ सम सॉफ्टवेयर्स which are readily available. 90% of organization have started using performance management system software basis, right? Completely टेक्नोलॉजी बेस्ड. वेरी फ्यू कंपनीज जो अभी भी बहुत पुराने सिस्टम्स फॉलो कर रही है वो मैनुअली करते हैं, राइट? बट मैनुअली का फ़ायदा नहीं होता है कुछ भी. बट आफ्टर द रिजल्ट्स एंड रेटिंग्स आर बीइंग डन, सो सपोज यू आर एन एम्प्लॉय, राइट? यू हैव अ फॉर्म इन फ्रंट ऑफ यू, यू फिल द फॉर्म. जैसे आप एप्लीकेशन फॉर्म भरते हो किसी भी कॉलेज का, यूनिवर्सिटी का, right? That's all on software these days, right? So you fill the form, you submit it, then you wait for the results to come from your evaluator, whosoever is there, your professors, your teachers, or the people who are taking admissions. Then they will write their ratings in front of the matrix that you have filled, right? So उसके सामने आपकी ratings आ गई. So one rating is done by you, one rating is done by your senior. You have all the quantifiable applications, everything is readily available now कि 10 में से 5 नंबर किसको मिले, 8 किसको मिले, A rating किसको मिली है, B rating किसको मिली है. So all those grading systems are in place now, right? Now what, as an HR and as a senior of that person, these two people have to do is they have to sit in calibration with the person so that they can make that person understand why such feedback has been given, why the rating alignment is important for the person who has got that particular score. Because अगर आपकी कंपनी के अंदर 2000 employees हैं, right? You have done all the complete automated system of performance management system for these 2000 employees. Right now, out of 2000 employees, there are chances that 60% of them or 30-40% of them will not be happy with the ratings that you have got, that they have got. Right? ये हमेशा ही होगा. 100% people with performance appraisals will never be happy. But now, what HR and the seniors of every department will have to do, they have to find out who are the people who are putting in efforts. They have to see the ratings, they have to see and find out who are the people who are important for the organization to work, even if their performance ratings are not up to the mark, but they are really, really useful employees for the future. So what are you going to do that? So out of these 2000 employees, suppose मान लेते हैं 50% are happy, correct? So those 50% side में रख दिए, 50% are not happy with their ratings. You see, you find out their ratings, you go through it, study, have a discussion. Then out of this 50%, you find out that 23% people are really, really very helpful for my organization for the future. Right? They have done good efforts. Maybe there was some alignment problem. Maybe they did not understand their objective. कोई भी reason होगा. Maybe manager अच्छा नहीं था. उनकी कुछ personal problem थी. So external factors कुछ भी हो सकते हैं, right? But you have understood this thing. So those 23%, you are going to put an effort and you are going to get into these calibration discussions with them. That means you will make them realize that why we have given them such performance appraisals rating, what are the reasons that they get their rating so low or not really up to the mark, and then you can align them for the next year's performance. Right? So this process in human resource management or in performance management system takes a lot of time, and it is called calibration of ratings. Right? Now understood well? Why it is not called assessment? Because assessment has already been done. You have given the rating. So giving the ratings or evaluating somebody's performance through reviews or performance appraisal form is called assessment. Right? Alignment generally is done beforehand. Right? You are putting their goals, objectives, you are giving them, if balance scorecard use kar rahe hain, so what are the form that we are using, so that alignment is already done in advance. And feedback is basically just telling them that this is what your performance is all about, what we can do, right? So generally, most of the people get confused between feedback and calibration for this particular process. Right? So that's genuine. So if you have answered A or B, both are there correct, but calibration is much more better suited to this particular thing because we are doing calibration of alignment, rating alignments for future as well. Next question आपका आता है pitfalls which continuous feedback performance models include. Maximum models of performance, whether you are using 360, you are using rating scales, you are using balance scorecard, you are using KRA KPI system, any system that you are using, there are chances that these pitfalls will come into place. Now what are these pitfalls? Number one is inconsistency among leaders. Now leaders के अंदर ही inconsistency है in terms of whether they would give good ratings to the person or not. Right? It is always there. Some personal biases are there. Different kind of biases you must have studied, right? So leaders के अंदर ये सब चीजें होना, it's a very common factor. Second point is unclear or missing documentation. बहुत बार ऐसा हो जाता है that you want to report your performance and you don't have the necessary document with you. Right? Generally what happens in performance management system, आपको तो भी metric system सिखा दिया properly कि KRA KPI कैसे डालना है, एक लाइन के statements, उसके आगे आपने ratings दे दी. But that rating जो आपकी वो हुई है एक statement के आगे, वो rating किसके basis पे हुई है? On the work that you have done in the organization. वो work क्या है आपका? Projects जिसमें आपने participate किया, reports you created, documentation you did, different kind of things. So for example, अब सेल्स वाला है, कोई एक सेल्स मैनेजर है जिसका आपने KRA KPI लिख दिया. क्या KRA KPI होता है सेल्स मैनेजर का? इन जनरल टर्म्स इज कितना टारगेट था, कितना अचीव किया, सिंपल, राइट? कितना सामान बेचा, कितना उसने उसका प्रॉफिट कंपनी को दिया. सो दीज आर बेसिक मेट्रिक्स दैट वी जनरली यूज, राइट? नाउ in order to say, suppose the person is giving herself a rating, suppose मेरा हो रहा है I am sales manager, मैंने अपनी self rating में डाल दिया that out of 10, 9 I have scored. That means out of 10 times, 9 times I have completed my targets, I have achieved everything bang on. Then my manager also gives me very good rating. But my manager would be able to give me ratings only on the basis of some documentations that I present with the firm. Correct? What are these documentation? कि पिछले साल के पूरे रिव्यूज जब भी हुए थे, मंथली रिव्यूज या क्वार्टरली रिव्यूज, द रिपोर्ट्स ऑफ दोज रिव्यूज, सेल्स टारगेट और अचीव करने की रिपोर्ट्स that we generally send. So sales people have to send the monthly reports. So these monthly reports become a part of the documentation. So if you do not have a documentation present during your performance management system, that means it's a very big drawback that you have for yourself, because of which most of the people will not be able to give you the ratings what you need. Correct? थर्ड आ जाता है आपका lack of action oriented feedback. Now what is action oriented feedback? What is normal feedback and what is action oriented feedback?
Normal feedback is overall, and action oriented feedback is a feedback toward any particular action, I think, ma'am.
Okay. In simpler terms, yeah, it is the way it is. Nima, Prachi, say something, don't sit quiet.
Ma'am, on the spot feedback.
On the spot feedback. उसका क्या meaning हुआ यहाँ?
Ma'am, what was the question? I missed actually.
Question is on the C part of this particular question, this quiz, a lack of action oriented feedback. So what do you mean by action oriented feedback and normal feedback?
Actual feedback means, ma'am, actually what he has done.
Yeah, carry on.
Ma'am, action-oriented feedback is feedback for a specific work, and normal feedback is for overall performance.
Yes.
Okay. So what kind of feedbacks will you prefer for yourself? Suppose if your performance management is going to get into ratings now, what kind of feedback would you prefer from your seniors? Would you prefer a normal feedback or would you prefer a action-oriented feedback?
Ma'am, it depends, but mostly action oriented.
Why is that?
Ma'am, because it tells us about the performance in a particular task.
Okay.
Ma'am, because of its specification.
Correct, because of its specification. Very true. Both of you are correct. Yes, Srishti, you were also saying something?
Ma'am, because of that particular feedback will improve that particular action.
Okay, right. So suppose you have to give a feedback now to somebody, general, right? You are the HR managers in organization. That's what you're studying for, right? Now you are an HR manager and you are giving feedback to somebody. You have seen their performance appraisal form. You've gone through it. You have to give the person a feedback. How are you going to give that feedback? 3 things that you say to a person giving feedback, normal feedback, general.
Ma'am, I think all of above.
No, we are not talking about this. I'm just saying that if you have to give feedback to somebody as an HR manager, how are you going to give the feedback? What are the 3 things you will include in your feedback discussion?
Hmm.
Ma'am, performance, punctuality.
Okay, you will talk about their performance, correct? You will talk about their punctuality, that is also correct. What else?
Ma'am, discipline.
Correct, that's true.
Discipline, achievement, goal achievement.
Goal achievements, correct? Right, so this is your normal feedback that you're going to talk about, right? Which is on the basis of the form that is in front of you. Now अब यही feedback आपको action oriented बनाना है. How are you going to give that feedback?
Action oriented, okay.
Ma'am, if it is action oriented, then as you gave the example of sales manager, then I will be give that sales manager feedback about how his sales was done in the previous year or in previous month. I will be very specific with this.
Correct. Yeah, but that's a past performance feedback. So action-oriented feedback is talking about the future. That, for example, if this year in the month of April and May, right, we are talking about 2021. In the month of April and May, sales manager's performance was down by 2%. Right? You will evaluate the reason because you are the senior as well as you are the HR also, right? So 2 people are sitting. When this calibration is happening, when the feedback is being given, there are always 2 or 3 people who sit together and give the feedback. One, it is very important, sales manager ka to direct reporting manager hai, wo baithega. Second is the HR who has handled this entire performance management, correct? So these 2 people are going to be there. In some cases, there can be finance people also involved because for sales manager, it's all about finances, bringing the revenues in the organization. Right, so now when you're sitting across with this person, you will see why the reasons were there for the person's performance to go down by 2% only in 2 months. So this year, you will tell him the reasons and you will tell him the way that he can achieve these 2%, so that external factors which were there last year is not going to hamper his performance again this year. Right? For example, the person was on leave unnecessarily because of personal reasons whatsoever. So you will tell that person that this year, if you are going to recover those particular work without taking too many leaves, you will be able to do much better. Second reasons can be that the person may not have the right team members within their team, right? So you will tell them that if you will hire highly oriented people who can actually bring in a lot of profitability for the organization, then obviously your targets are going to be achieved in a normal course of time. So this is how on matrix to matrix basis you will give them an action oriented feedback, especially on the metrics which has not performed, which they have not performed really well. Correct? And this is what we are doing also. So what we are doing is, we are actually doing an action oriented feedback right now. So we did quiz, we checked the revision. We did a quick recap, how much of you have done the revision, how much you have actually understood. See, because in one class or 2 classes which sir has taken or which I generally take, it is very difficult to remember everything in these 2 hours. Right? And over a weekend 4 घंटे इसमें देना is a very troublesome thing, right? If you're not going back, so Monday to Friday, if you're not going back to the videos or to the presentations that you share or any other notes that he or I share, then it gets very difficult for you to memorize each and everything. Right? At this point in time, see, when we become adult, जब हम बड़े हो जाते हैं, so adult learning is very different from childhood learning. चाइल्डहुड लर्निंग में रट्टाफिकेशन बहुत जल्दी हो जाता है, हम लोग बैठते हैं, मेमोराइज करते हैं और हो जाता है क्विकली, वो हमारा माइंड उस टाइम इतना एक्टिव होता है. But when we become adult, it takes time for things to get into our memory, right? Because बहुत सारी और चीजें चल रही होती हैं दिमाग में. Subconscious mind is completely full of so many different things, right? So it takes time. So if you're not going back again to these videos or to see, major purpose of recording the videos on YouTube is purely this only, that people who were absent or people who were present and still have not understood, they can go back and understand it and then ask questions, right? I can't tell you that yoga life coaching mein how many questions I used to ask, where answers classes khatam ho gayi और classes के बाद पूरा Monday to Thursday they had different questions. It was just a very small batch of seven people, but so many questions they always have, right? So it's very important that ask questions, understand the topic really well, because these are see, recruitment के बाद performance management is a very core of HR. If you have to create a career in HR, performance management system घोट के पीना ही पड़ेगा. मतलब you have to understand each and everything deeply, then only you will be. और performance management system होगा तभी training and development में career बन पाएगा. If you won't understand performance management system well, why somebody is been given good rating or why somebody is not given good rating, metrics क्यों ऐसे लिखे गए, मैट्रिक्स के पीछे के डॉक्यूमेंटेशन क्या थे, बिकॉज जब तक वो डॉक्यूमेंटेशन नहीं पता चलेगा, रीजन नहीं पता चलेगा. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, द सेम एग्जाम्पल वी कंटिन्यू कि सेल्स मैनेजर की परफॉर्मेंस डाउन गई. इफ यू वोंट फाइंड आउट द रीजंस, हाउ विल यू ट्रेन दैट पर्सन नाउ, राइट? सो ट्रेनिंग एंड डेवलपमेंट इज ऑल अबाउट इम्प्रूविंग परफॉर्मेंस, इम्प्रूविंग प्रोडक्टिविटी, बिहेवियरल चेंजेस लेकर आने के लिए. सो इफ यू डोंट गो बाय द रीजंस in the details, then you won't be able to give them a future orientation, which is training and development, right?
Right.
So it's very important. So this is what we are doing currently, the action oriented feedback, that we are taking, we are giving you things that you've not understood in the past, right? So the answer to this is all of the above. Next question आपका है true or false, which is soliciting anonymous feedback that is quick and easy to provide. Now, why do people prefer anonymous feedback and why it is so important? There are two ways of giving feedback. You go and tell your manager that something is not going correct, right? There are chances that the biases will come in future. Your manager will have a lot of biases. चाहे वो बात सही हो या गलत हो, we don't know. But whatever the case is, because it's a human process, people are involved, their mind is involved, so the brain always falls into the trap of bringing prejudices and biases, correct? So it's always good if you have something, a very crucial information that you want to post it as a feedback, then you should do it with the anonymous feedback, right? So that would be addressed faster and it will have timely identification and action. Correct? So the answer is true. Okay. Next is a common error when evaluating employee performance, which the rater does not diligently measure performance, provide feedback and document results, and often cannot remember the earlier part of the performance period is called. So what is the answer here?
Recency.
Recency effect.
A.
Right? So recency effect, right? You studied about the biases, so it's very easy to find out what it is. And that is the reason why people say that continuous feedback is very important. Regular reviews is very important and integral part of. So you cannot really just say an annual feedback and tell the employee that एक साल के बाद तुमने ये खराब किया, ये अच्छा किया, right? It's a very regular kind of a thing, either a monthly or quarterly feedback going to the employee is very important, so that this recency effect cannot bring much problems. Yeah. Okay. Whose mic is on? A lot of disturbance is coming. Mute your mic, please. Okay, so next question is, what approach should employee take when an employee leave after receiving a disciplinary warning with a specific period of action? So what is the answer?
I think A.
Why A? Give reasons also.
Okay, ma'am. It was the disciplinary period as though the employees were actively working. Ma'am, because just a minute, and was the disciplinary period as though the employees were actively working. Yes, ma'am. Because it will mean instead of leaving it or instead of just stopping the clock, if I just give up my feedback or my response to that particular employee, it will work him or her to go through that error or whatever what's that action. मतलब वो ज्यादा आसानी से उसके साथ चला जाएगा instead of these options. That is why ma'am I thought कि A.
कुछ समझ नहीं आया, दोबारा से रिपीट करो. You have to tell me again. This and that ज़्यादा हुआ इसके अंदर, पॉइंट के अंदर.
Okay. What's this? Instead of stopping the clock or giving the employee warning, I think कि अगर employee को काम करते करते ही ये बोल दिया जाए कि आपने ये गलती की है या ये एरर किया है, तो आप उसके साथ ढल जाओगे या उसको आप सुधारने के लिए ज्यादा सही रहेगा, इंस्टेड ऑफ कि उसे एक किसी भी पर्टिकुलर गलती पे रोक के और कुछ काम न कराने की जगह उसकी सिर्फ और सिर्फ उसी गलती को सुधारना और ये सारी चीजें.
No, you have not understood the question. The question is totally different. What you have understood. Anybody else who wants to answer this, let's give the chance to everybody and then we will come and explain. Yeah.
Discipline
my-
for a specified period for correction, like employee is giving a chance for correcting, so enforce the disciplinary period as though employee were actively working. We are giving him a chance, ma'am.
पढ़ा ही नहीं है कोई डिसिप्लिनरी एक्शंस के बारे में, राइट? कुछ नहीं पता है. सो अब परफॉर्मेंस फीडबैक में फिर क्या पढ़ा, राइट? परफॉर्मेंस मैनेजमेंट सिस्टम में हुआ क्या? आपने फॉर्म बनाना सीखा?
हमने प्रोसेस साइकिल पढ़ा और किस तरीके से वो प्रॉफिटेबल होता है एम्प्लॉय एम्प्लॉयर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के लिए, और उसमें फिर हम लोग MBO पढ़े, मतलब मैनेजमेंट बाय ऑब्जेक्टिव और all the methods.
You studied method, correct? You studied about metrics and all, कैसे होना है. You studied about उनको quantify कैसे करना है, ratings कैसे देना है, correct? You studied about feedback management mechanism?
No, ma'am.
अच्छा, feedback mechanism भी नहीं हुआ. So feedback mechanism नहीं हुआ, इसीलिए disciplinary actions पे भी नहीं आए. So see, what happens is there are two things which happens. Either your performance is good or bad, correct? Third scenario in organization is it can be average also, right? So good, bad and average. अब now good का एक excellent भी हो सकता है और bad का poor भी हो सकता है. So this is how the ratings are given, right? 5 ratings mostly. Now if your performance is good, that means you are getting appraisals, right? You are getting rewards, you are getting recognitions, right? Now what if your performance is not good? What will happen then? अगर आपको कंपनी रिवॉर्ड करेगी, because the company has given you payments, right? They have given you salary for your work, right? If your work is up to the mark, that means you are getting good things. Reinforcements, positive reinforcements we call it. It can be in the form of monetary or non-monetary things. But if your performance has gone bad or it has not gone up to the mark, then what will company do? They will do something about it, right? So in most cases, what company does is they create a PIP, which is performance improvement plan. Right? Which is performance improvement plan is कि आपकी performance इतने points के अंदर कम रही है, so how can we improve or help you improve that performance areas? Right? Then we include trainings, then we include management programs, then we include development programs, different kind of things we include for the employee. What if the employees का behavior ही बहुत गड़बड़ है? There is a disciplinary issues in terms of discipline नहीं है, punctuality zero है, behavior खराब है, abusive है, boss की बात नहीं सुनता है, insubordination है, बहुत सारी चीजें ऐसी होती है. Then what will you do?
Ma'am, we will suspend him or her.
Correct. So suspension in organization is not really immediately. There is a disciplinary action committee which sits. So we call it disciplinary. I am forgetting the name. Right. So it basically there is a disciplinary thing that happens in an organization. Yeah, disciplinary inquiry happens in the company. Okay, so there is a committee which sits together and they will finalize and see what kind of complaint is coming. Then on the basis of that complaint, they will decide what kind of punishment they will give. Most of the cases it works is that there are 2 warnings which is given to the employee. Warning number 1, which can be either verbal or written. Then warning number 2, again it can be written. It has to be written. It cannot be verbal. Then warning number 3 is suspension or termination. Right? So this is how it is being done in the organization. You cannot just become very strict with somebody and just say that you are suspended or terminated. That can only happen if it is written down in the offer letter of the employee कि इस cases में immediate termination हो सकता है. Right? That cases you have to write down in the offer letter or appointment letter very clearly, and the person has to sign on that after reading it. Right? Otherwise, maximum organization face problems when they don't follow the disciplinary inquiry formulation in the organization. Right? Immediate जो लोग hire fire कर देते हैं उनके लिए problem बन जाता है later on. Any employee can go to labor court and they can file a case on the organization that their termination is not up to that legality or law has. Right? You are studying laws right now. So there is a very important law which talks about how an employee has to keep within the organization. क्या-क्या चीजें उनके appointment letter में लिखनी चाहिए, क्या-क्या information is very important to be written down, और जब आप कंपनी से निकाल रहे हैं तो क्या-क्या चीजें उसके साथ होना चाहिए so that they don't really file a case. Right? हमारी लाइफ में laws and legals क्यों होते हैं? Legal systems या laws क्यों हैं?
कि मैम हम लोग डिसिप्लिन में या रूल में काम कर सकें, अपनी मर्जी से कुछ भी ना करें.
Right, so that there is a way of living life, right? Some rules we have to follow, some guidelines we have to follow, and we don't really go astray from those rules and regulations, right? That's why there are laws and legalities. Similar thing happens for organizations. So आपका Industrial Dispute Act, Factories Act, Standing Orders Act, Bonus Act, Gratuity, PF, each and everything talks about क्या-क्या rules follow करने चाहिए organization. And you can only become a very successful human resource manager जब आपको ये पता होगा कि कौन सा law कौन से function के साथ attach होना है. So performance management system आप individually नहीं run कर सकते हो, पर performance management system से related जो law है वो आपको इसके साथ पढ़ने पड़ेंगे. कौन-कौन से law हो सकते हैं performance management system में? वो कोरिलेशन अभी शायद सर वहां तक पहुंचे नहीं होंगे, राइट? सो वी विल गो थ्रू दोज थिंग्स. वी विल क्लियरली टेल यू कि रिक्रूटमेंट एंड सिलेक्शन के टाइम पे कौन से लॉस को ध्यान में रखना है. आई विल टेक यू थ्रू कि परफॉर्मेंस मैनेजमेंट के सिस्टम टाइम पे आपने कौन कौन से लॉ को ध्यान रखना है, ट्रेनिंग डेवलपमेंट में, एग्जिट के टाइम पे और कॉम्पनसेशन एंड मैनेजमेंट में. ये मेजरली 5 और 6 चीजें हैं जहां पर ये लॉस हमारे को इफेक्ट करते हैं बहुत ज्यादा. Right? So starting from bringing employee to the organization and till the time they are not out, there are so many things that an HR has to do. And trust me, most of the MBA institutes do not give enough learnings on laws and legalities. And that is the reason why many HR people do not even remember or know about these laws. Right? Slowly over a period of time, जब आप 1-2 साल के साथ काम कर लेते हो तो आपको बुक्स में से देखना पड़ता है, because it's difficult. Not books, now इंटरनेट पे सब कुछ अवेलेबल है, so इंटरनेट के थ्रू आप देख सकते हो. But over a period of time, you should remember all these things. It's like becoming a lawyer. Right? So slowly, for your employees' right or for your employers' right, I fought so many cases. Lawyer के साथ हमें HR के साथ भेज दिया जाता था कि that this employee has filed a case on the organization, so now you also go because you understand laws and legalities in detail. So lawyer अपना काम कर रहा है. I am telling his or her performance from the company's point of view कि कहाँ उस employee ने falter किया था. Because as an HR, you know all those things, right? You have noted it down. So it's very important that you understand and make a correlation with these things. Right? Don't study all these things individually. Alright, so let's come back to this thing. So disciplinary warning का इसमें meaning क्या हो रहा है? इस वाले चीज के हम क्या कर रहे हैं कि somebody's performance is not good and disciplinary warning can be because of insubordination. That your manager has asked you to do something as per your job description, but you said कि नहीं मुझे नहीं करना है. And over a period of time आप इतने जिद्दी बन गए. Some people are like that, right? They become that stubborn. They don't really like to take what do you call it, orders from seniors. Many people do these kind of things. It's like, you know, उनका childhood वाला thing अभी तक affect करता है उनको adulthood में.
एक जिद्दीपना मैम, they don't want to accept, like, you know, they don't want to
True.
change them.
Absolutely, and it takes time. So that behavioral change आने में it takes huge amount of time, and that is why internal training organizations के अंदर होना बहुत जरूरी है, regular amount में, regular time period के अंदर, right? So this is the reason. So now अपने किसी employee को, the question says that you have given a disciplinary warning to somebody और वो गायब हो गया है organization से, मतलब he or she has gone on leave. So what are you going to do? Right? So the answer is C. Answer is B. Stop the clock and suspend the disciplinary period. Right? Because when the person is not available, you cannot do anything. Correct? You cannot do the first thing. Why? क्योंकि जब वो absent है तब आप उसको disciplinary force कैसे कर सकते हो, right? When somebody is not present, you cannot force. Right? Second point says stop the clock. That means जहीं पर रोक दो जहां तक रुका है. Suppose आपकी disciplinary warning ने कहा कि 3 महीने तक employee को छुट्टी नहीं लेना है. Right? So 1 महीना उसने नहीं ली पर अब वो छुट्टी ले गया है, so आपकी clock वहीं रुक गई है. So जब वो छुट्टी से वापस आएगा आपकी clock start हो जाएगी and then you again count that period.
Ma'am, this is the first case for me as well. 7 years.
Which one?
This one, which we are discussing, like never happened type of case. So I was thinking of this only, but I didn't knew कि this can be happen or not. So this is the
कुछ आता है. Not everything you will experience in one organization. Some organizations many organizations do not follow that disciplinary inquiry routine in detail. But manufacturing में ये होना बहुत जरूरी है. It's mandate that it should be followed.
Yes. For me, this is new. I have learned something different, right?
We will come to this. So आपके जो law से related है, disciplinary inquiry बिठाना, conflict management, ये सब चीजें is a part of HR. So we cannot go into the details of each thing, but we will try and cover that. Right? So C आता है आपका, फिर disregard the disciplinary warning. आप कर ही नहीं सकते हो ये तो, right? Because you have given somebody that they have to improve their performance on the disciplinary basis, so you cannot tell the person कि हम आपको disregard कर देते हैं. You come and join the organization just like that, right? Starting afresh is not the solution. Correct? So now we got this answer.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Next one is performance management. ये तो आसान होना चाहिए, right? इसका तो आंसर सबका सही होना चाहिए. What is the answer that you have given? What is the definition?
Ma'am, A.
A, ma'am.
interpersonal influence exercised by a leader, specific situation or in response to the critical incident. क्यों भाई?
Ma'am, it can be B or A both.
I did D.
Ma'am, I have written A and B both. I was confused between A and B.
Okay.
And D, ma'am.
Who said D? Hima. Hima finance के हिसाब से
I'm confused about A or D.
No, I also did D.
No, ma'am, it would be, I think, A or B.
D कैसे होगा? D का मीनिंग क्या है? समझो पहले उसको, right? So let's start from D. Have the employee understand and accept
Changes that will increase.
changes, right? That will increase his or effectiveness. ये तो feedback हो गया ना? How can it be performance management, right? It's a feedback mechanism
Yes.
that you have to make them understand, right? Now A पे आते हैं. A क्या कह रहा है? A says that interpersonal influence means हमारा आपस का relationship, two people का, right? So exercised by a leader in specific situations or in response to a critical incident or development opportunity. अब यहाँ पर एक simple response की बात हो रही है या एक discussion की बात हो रही है. So can it be performance management? Complete system? It cannot be.
No.
Right?
No, ma'am, yes.
Now come to the C point. The employee becomes the best he or she can on internal gifts, qualities and values. ये तो possible ही नहीं है, right?
Simple, ma'am.
So right answer is
B.
B. So obviously it's not a complete definition, but just for the quiz point of view, it's the correct thing. What we do in performance management system is we give a formal and more general feedback at predetermined intervals. It's very important. So we are completing that there would be a goal setting, there would be a feedback, then there would be information at predetermined intervals. That means review feedback system will follow. Right? So A can be a part of this. So people who are saying that A and B both are correct, it's actually correct, right? So A and B both can be a part of it, but more accurate definition is B.
Ma'am, but performance management is an informal activity. So that is why I didn't choose B. I was thinking कि B होगा, पर the formal word got me confused and told me.
No, performance management is not informal. It is formal management system, right? The company follows it. It's a formal feedback system.
Okay, ma'am.
Right? Informal is something which is casual. You are not taking it seriously. It's just happening unstructured way. Companies spend huge amount of time, money and interventions on performance management system. देखो मेजर फंक्शन एम्प्लॉय का क्या है? HR का काम है लेकर आना. आपने हायर कर लिया, सोर्स कर लिया, राइट? उसके बाद अब आपका नेक्स्ट काम क्या रह गया? When employee has come inside the organization, now your job is to see whether he or she is performing really well or not. Right? And why it becomes HR's job to see whether they are performing well or not? क्यों HR का भी पार्ट हो जाता है? Generally seniors का होना चाहिए, superiors का होना चाहिए. Why it becomes HR's point of view?
क्योंकि मैम, because ma'am, HR's work is to perform the human resource well or the best, or make the human resource best.
Correct. So because our job is to see whether their welfare, whether their entire cycle, whatever time they spend in the organization is done really well, and as per the systems and guidelines which is given. Correct? Good. So next, come to the next question. So performance management is about setting mutually agreed upon goals. True or false?
Ma'am, true.
True.
Good. So this was easy, right? Next is again easy. Performance management system is about just the appraisal form and systems. True or false?
Ma'am, false.
Everybody
False.
says false? Okay, good. Why do we say false?
Ma'am, because it is also about planning, monitoring, developing, rewarding.
Absolutely. Very good.
on the system.
Ma'am, but in performance management system, all this come like planning, monitoring, all these things already is coming in the system. Then why it is false? That is why I thought means the system is a combined word which take all the thing like monitoring or feedback, everything, all the cycle. That is why I choose true, because I thought the system is denoting the complete cycle.
क्वेश्चन क्या कह रहा है? परफॉर्मेंस मैनेजमेंट इज अबाउट जस्ट द अप्रेजल फॉर्म एंड और सिस्टम. सिर्फ अप्रेजल फॉर्म का सिस्टम नहीं होता है ना. देयर इज अ टॉक अबाउट फीडबैक मैकेनिज्म, देयर इज अ टॉक अबाउट PIP which is improvement plans, there is a talk about rewards and recognition, training and development. I don't know what kind of forms sir has shown you. Sir has shown you some forms कैसे बनाते हैं परफॉर्मेंस अप्रेजल
Yes,
की.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
तो उस फॉर्म की रेटिंग्स के बाद देयर इज अ द फर्स्ट पोर्शन सेज सेल्फ रेटिंग्स. दैट मीन्स यू एज एन एम्प्लॉय हैज टू रेट योरसेल्फ. आपके 5 मैट्रिक्स हैं, KRAs हैं, राइट. उन KRAs पे सबसे पहले रेटिंग कौन करेगा? आप करोगे खुद, बिकॉज यू आर द एम्प्लॉय, राइट. इट्स कॉल्ड सेल्फ रेटिंग इन अप्रेजल फॉर्म. देन सेकेंड रेटिंग करता है हमारा सीनियर, जिसको हम रिपोर्ट कर रहे हैं. Anybody, whosoever is we are reporting into. That means the manager is going to rate. बहुत सारी organizations में थर्ड रेटिंग भी होती है, which is the super senior. Super senior is somebody हमारे बॉस का बॉस, right? So superior का भी superior. Generally head of the departments or anybody in the leadership position. So these 3 ratings happens. उसके बाद आपकी ओवरऑल रेटिंग आ जाती है एवरेज निकल कर कि किसने B स्कोर किया, किसने A किया, किसने D किया, किसने C किया. करेक्ट. Now on the average ABCDE जब आपका आया, ABCD के बाद वहां पर सेकेंड पोर्शन होता है जिसके अंदर ये बात की जाती है कि क्या क्या इम्प्रूवमेंट एरियाज हैं, राइट. सो द कमेंट्स रिटन, देयर इज फर्स्ट कमेंट विच इज अगेन सेल्फ रिटन. दैट मीन्स आई एज अ ह्यूमन बीइंग और एज एन एम्प्लॉय इन दिस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, इन दिस रोल, आई फील मुझे इन 2 चीज़ों की ट्रेनिंग की जरूरत है नेक्स्ट ईयर टू परफॉर्म माई KRAs better. Right? That's my self-evaluation for myself. Then my manager also says something कि yes, what she's saying is correct. I also endorse कि इन 2 areas में training हो, और इसके अलावा मैं एक और area बताता हूँ कि इसके अंदर भी training होनी चाहिए. Right? Then again आपका super senior will also writes the comment. So इसके basis पे, इन comments के basis पे आपका training analysis हो गया कि this person wants these 3 kind of trainings because that's been told in the performance improvement plan, right? So that becomes action oriented feedback also, and that becomes your training need analysis, जो training का सबसे important part है, right?
Okay,
So that complete system of performance management system is आधा अधूरा if you are not including training and development of employee in that, right?
Okay, ma'am.
That's why most of the organizations when they do performance management को generally किसी भी अच्छी कंपनी में करने में, अच्छी कंपनी in the sense employee wise कह रही हूँ, suppose 1000 employees हैं, 500 employees हैं, तो performance management system पूरा complete करने में 3 से 4 महीने लग जाते हैं, starting from objective setting करने से लेकर feedback देने तक. उसके बाद ही most of the organization starts training and development in their company. Right? So you will see in most of the organization, April, May, June, July, these are 4 months for appraisals. क्योंकि नए टारगेट्स हो जाते हैं, फाइनेंशियल ईयर खत्म हो जाता है March 31 को, उसके बाद से आपके नए टारगेट्स, नई चीज़ें मिल जाती हैं, राइट, एज पर द चेंजेस इन द सिस्टम सब जगह पे. तो 4 महीने आपके लग गए परफॉर्मेंस मैनेजमेंट में. इट्स ओनली आफ्टर August, September मोस्ट ऑफ द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन स्टार्ट ट्रेनिंग एंड डेवलपमेंट ऑफ एम्प्लॉयज. तो अगस्त से लेकर अगेन जनवरी तक बहुत एक्टिव रहती है ऑर्गेनाइजेशन ट्रेनिंग्स कराने के लिए. फिर जनवरी में स्लो हो जाता है बिकॉज जनवरी फरवरी इज ऑल अबाउट कंप्लीटिंग द टारगेट्स. फिर से पूरा जोर पकड़ लेते हैं. सो एम्प्लॉयज जनरली डोंट गेट टाइम टू अटेंड ट्रेनिंग प्रोग्राम्स, राइट. सो दैट्स हाउ द साइकिल एक्चुअली गोज इन मोस्ट ऑफ द ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस. नेक्स्ट आपका आ जाता है ये वाला क्वेश्चन, परफॉर्मेंस मैनेजमेंट इज अबाउट एड्रेसिंग बोथ व्हाट एन एम्प्लॉय शुड अचीव एंड शुड अवॉइड. इजी है अगेन.
Yes, ma'am.
What is the answer? True or false?
True.
Everybody agrees? True? Or still
Ma'am,
thinking?
which question number? This is 9, ma'am?
Hmm?
Or 10? Question number 9 or 10? What I wrote,
This is question number 10.
10, okay.
Ma'am, false, I think.
क्यों false? Give the reason why it is false.
What I understood is one has to focus on his performance area rather than going to the other, like jumping to the other department or others work. So,
No, it's simply about do's and don'ts. कि आपको क्या achieve करना और क्या नहीं करना organization में. Isn't it about
yes,
that?
yes, ma'am.
Right? So the answer is true. बहुत simple था. It's just about आपको क्या achieve करना है और आपको क्या नहीं करना है कंपनी, क्या avoid करना है. So avoid क्या करते हैं हम? Indisciplinary things, code of conduct ना follow करना.
Okay.
Right? तो ये सब चीजें simplest thing है. जब आपकी goal writing होती है तो ये सब चीजें ही करते हैं ना हम. We tell everybody what needs to be done and what needs not to be done. Okay. Next is performance management cycle. Model present in class. So,
Ma'am, C. Coaching and feedback.
क्यों coaching and feedback क्यों नहीं होगा performance management cycle का part? फीडबैक के बगैर कैसे उनका एक्शन ओरिएंटेशन लाओगे, कैसे उन्हें बताओगे that they have not
मैम
done
क्वेश्चन
well?
में ये ना पूछा था कि मतलब परफॉर्मेंस मैनेजमेंट साइकिल मॉडल जो है उसमें मतलब उसमें कौन कौन सी चीजें प्रेजेंट होती हैं, यही मतलब बताना था आई थिंक.
No. The question is performance management cycle that we presented in the class. मतलब all the models that we discussed in the class includes all, but which मतलब कौन सा item नहीं है part of these.
New employee
B.
orientation.
New
Yes, ma'am.
employer.
Correct.
मैम तब डी
D.
होगा. हाँ,
D.
गलत
Okay.
था मेरा.
D. Yeah, the new employee orientation is not part of performance management cycle. Good. Next is difficult performance management conversations. Focus on 3 main objectives. Choose the item that does not belong. Again, you have to find out the item which does not belong to
मैम
the group.
ए.
A.
क्यों भाई? तो करेक्ट परफॉर्मेंस मैनेजमेंट का काम क्या है? परफॉर्मेंस नहीं करेंगे, करेक्ट नहीं करेंगे हम.
Correct performance, not to punish the correct the performance.
ब्रेक ले लो 5 मिनट का, है ना? बहुत ज्यादा परेशान कर दिया मैंने आज.
No, ma'am, we are learning a lot.
No, ma'am.
लर्निंग तो करा ही लेंगे हम लोग. यहाँ बस डंडा नहीं चल सकता है, बाकी
मैम
सब हो रहा है.
कंफ्यूज है हम. मैम ए ही होगा कैसे, मतलब नहीं समझ पा रहे हैं.
ऐसी कौन सी चीज है जो आप फोकस नहीं करोगे कॉन्वर्सेशंस के लिए?
मैम
आपका
इसमें तो सभी इम्पोर्टेंट हैं, अगर एक को अगर ना देखा जाए तो.
क्यों? ए का मीनिंग क्या है? टू करेक्ट परफॉर्मेंस.
and not to punish the performer.
So
मैम बट
punish क्यों
बाकी
करेंगे
पॉइंट्स भी तो इम्पोर्टेंट है मतलब एज अ ऑब्जेक्टिव.
So see the D point. To project manpower needs for the coming year, how can it be a part of performance management conversation? Can it be part of performance management discussions with employees? नहीं ना? So D is the correct answer. हम एम्प्लॉय का HR का काम क्या है एज एन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के अंदर दैट दे हैव टू सी व्हाट आर द एरियाज थ्रू विच वी कैन मोटिवेट एम्प्लॉयज टू परफॉर्म बेटर. कभी भी किसी भी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में नेगेटिव मतलब पनिशमेंट या फाइन्स या ये सब चीजें होना ही नहीं चाहिए, राइट. डिसिप्लिनरी भी इंक्वायरी या डिसिप्लिनरी थिंग्स also comes when people are very stubborn and they don't want to improve their behavior. मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम HR का ध्यान ही इसी चीज़ों पे होना है कि कैसे एम्प्लॉय को मोटिवेट करके काम लेना है सो दैट देयर मॉरल ऑल्सो इज ऑल्सो अप. आप किसको पनिशमेंट करके कैसे काम करा सकते हो? आजकल तो स्कूल के बच्चों को भी नहीं करा सकते.
No, not even can scold also.
राइट. इन आवर टाइम्स जब हम स्कूल में पढ़ रहे थे तो मारना पीटना वाज अ कॉमन थिंग. एक थप्पड़ पड़ जाना, स्केल पड़ जाना, मतलब इट्स वेरी कॉमन एंड वी नेवर, नॉट आवर पेरेंट्स नॉट वी, किसी ने कभी कंप्लेन नहीं किया होगा. हार्डली कभी 100 में से एक केस हुआ होगा. नाउ यू कैन नॉट रियली टच एनीबडी. सो इमेजिन व्हेन यू कैन नॉट डू इट इन द स्कूल, हाउ कैन यू डू इट विद एन एडल्ट who is working with you, who is providing the services in exchange of monetary benefit, right? पनिशमेंट जब आप देने लग जाते हो किसी भी एम्प्लॉय को, दैट मीन्स यू कंसीडर देम एज योर स्लेव, बट एन एम्प्लॉय इज नॉट अ स्लेव, राइट. कोई आपका सर्वेंट बन के काम नहीं कर रहा है ना. दे आर देयर विद देयर विलफुल एम्प्लॉयमेंट. So that is the reason first is not the correct answer. Second is to protect the employee's right. So हर एक employees के rights हैं, and now these rights are all about again laws and legalities. सबके अपने अपने rights हैं, every employee के उनको पता होने चाहिए. Third is to protect you and the organization. अब अगर employee को protect कर रहे हैं तो organization को और HR को भी protect करना है. So that is also a part of the conversations. What is not important for performance management conversation is you cannot discuss every employee के साथ what is the manpower needs for the future. Even if he or she resigns, even if he or she is terminated, you still cannot discuss this with individually people. Right? So let's take quick 5 minutes break and then come back, and then rest of the questions we'll do.
Okay, ma'am.
Freshen up and come. Shall we start?
Yes, ma'am.
Done, refreshed?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, let's start again. The next question is here. I think this is the one, right? So managing employee performance include what?
Ma'am, A, monitoring and measuring the performance.
Correct? Simple है ये वाला तो?
Yes, ma'am.
Right? You cannot do organizational goals with employee performance, right?
Yes,
You cannot do marketing strategy. So it's very simple.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, next one is which of these is not a performance management tool? हमने ये slide आगे कर दिया था क्या? I think this one we did not discuss.
Yes, ma'am. This
Yes,
one is
ma'am.
not discussed.
मुझे ऐसा लगा. Okay, you can say it now. Which of these is not a performance management tool?
Ma'am, competitor market analysis, I think.
Good. Right, real-time feedback is used in performance management, correct? One-on-one performance check-ins also, rewards and recognition different schemes also. So what is not there in performance management tool is competitors market analysis. Good. Next is relying solely on annual performance reviews
Ma'am,
can
ये
be
भी नहीं.
problematic due. हमने कुछ slides आगे निकल गए हम लोग. Okay. It's all right. That's what I was wondering, that the questions were 19, not 15.
Yes, ma'am. I think that is why I am now counting. मेरा ऊपर नीचे हो गया है थोड़ा सा.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
मैम हम जो आपको सेंड भी किया, हम सोच रहे हैं यहाँ पे तो ये आंसर दे रहा है लेकिन इट्स नॉट मैचिंग.
No, these two slides we did not discuss only.
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
तो वो आंसर्स गलत नहीं हुए होंगे. These I think we by mistake I took it, left it in between. It's okay, we can talk about it now. So relying solely on annual performance reviews can be problematic due to
Ma'am, I think C, unclear performance expectation throughout the year.
or just one, or it can be more.
Ma'am, or maybe A, the managers focus only on the recent performance, not the other performances.
Okay. Why not B also?
Ma'am, I'm not understanding the meaning of B. What is written?
So B is basically talking about, or let's go one by one. The number one says that managers focus only on recent performance, right? So it's obviously a wrong thing to do. You cannot rely solely on the recent performance. You have to see the entire year's performances into consideration, right? Second is employee receiving surprise feedback that they were not aware about previously. It's very common that, most of the organization, what they do is they don't discuss feedback on a regular interval. अब आपका एक साल का रिव्यू होना है, राइट? जनरली एनुअल परफॉर्मेंस अप्रेजल्स होते हैं ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में. अब एक साल के एनुअल परफॉर्मेंस अप्रेजल में फ्रॉम लास्ट ईयर अप्रैल टू नाउ मार्च, हाउ मेनी थिंग्स यू विल रिमेंबर? यू वोंट, राइट? इफ योर मैनेजर हैज गिवन योर फीडबैक इन लास्ट अप्रैल, ऐसे ही वर्बली बोल दिया कि तेरा काम अच्छा नहीं चल रहा है या ठीक से नहीं कर रहा है, तू तेरे टारगेट पूरे नहीं हो रहे, जस्ट अ वर्बल फीडबैक, कैजुअल. सो विल यू रिमेंबर दैट? Even if you remember, then again it's not documented, right? It's not really a formal feedback which has been given. Now surprisingly आपको एक अलग से feedback मिलता है after a year of completion, is that your manager has given you a C rating, क्योंकि manager ने कहा कि मैंने तो अप्रैल में इसको बता दिया था his or her work is not going great. So is that a correct thing to do? Can you rely solely on that in performance reviews? So that's what the second point is saying, that you cannot rely on something which you have received in a very surprised format. You have not been shared these informations with you in past. So a good performance management system says that the feedback mechanism is a very integral part of performance management system. As integral as goal setting, as integral as KPIs. आपने KPIs कितने अचीव किए हैं इसका आपको मंथ ऑन मंथ या क्वार्टर ऑन क्वार्टर पता चलते रहना चाहिए, right? And that is where HR's job comes into picture most of the organizations के अंदर, that you will monitor whether their quarterly performance is matching the quantifiable things which is mentioned in their KPIs. If not, you start a performance feedback so that they will be given a feedback कि आप यहाँ lack कर रहे हो, and find out the reason why they are lacking so that you can correct the measures. Right? If imagine an employer, an organization who has hired 500 employees in the organization. Do they want to hire 500 employees in the organization purely because they can say कि आपने काम अच्छा नहीं किया और आप निकल जाओ organization से? They don't want to do that, right? Because it's a huge cost. After a year, it becomes very costly affair. आपने एक साल तक उनको रखा, you paid salaries, you saw their performance, they also got attached, you also got attached, they understood the systems. Now immediately after एक साल के बाद आप, you cannot say that. So in order to control or in order to bring a much more empathetic way of hiring or bringing what do you call it, better systems in organization or better motivation to people is to give the regular feedback, right? That is the reason why 360-degree feedback system is not used as performance management system in many organizations. It is only used as a feedback mechanism system, not to rate an employee on the basis of the feedbacks given by their peers, their superiors, their juniors, vendors, but to take the feedback so that we can correct the behavior of the people, right? Last one is unclear performance expectations throughout. So जब हमारी expectations, which is metrics that you're writing down is not clear, KPI clear ही नहीं होंगे, so what do you think that my performance reviews will be? It's not going to be correct. So the answer to this thing is all of the above. All the three things are important. You cannot rely solely on any of these three. Yep.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, next. ये भी रह गया था?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
कुछ slides हमने बीच में से खा ली. So next is
वो question कौन सा था? Which one, the previous one?
all of
So
the
we can
above.
see.
Answer D, all of the above. Yeah. So now this one is when providing feedback to an employee, the feedback should be generic, timely, or subjective. Or you think all of the above?
Ma'am, all of the above.
क्यों? Why generic? How a generic feedback will help the employee?
How a generic feedback will.
Quickly, we discussed it.
Ma'am, I think all of the above will be the answer.
I'm asking why generic feedback should be given. Or how will generic feedback will help an employee?
Ma'am, subjectivity is also can't be added. Like subjectivity add personal point of view as well. But in feedback, we should be stay away from biases. So it should be objective instead of subjective. So it can't be all of the above.
Correct. Subjective तो हो ही नहीं सकता. What do you understand by subjective?
Means
Ma'am, to a particular task or situation.
That's objective. That's called objective, not subjective. Subjective is that I am using my personal influence in something.
yes, ma'am. I think C will be right. Timely.
C is B is timely.
Sorry, ma'am. B timely. If the feedback is given at the right time, then the feedback's value will stay. Otherwise, it's valueless, I think. Ma'am.
All agrees. कौन कौन एग्री करता है बी से और सृष्टि से?
Ma'am, generic means overall situations. Then subjective also same meaning. It's not objective.
So generic is very casual, right? So you are talking about everything. We are not talking about just the employee's feedback, right? It's not action oriented or it's not specific. So can it be a part of feedback mechanism? It's okay. You've not studied this subject, so that's okay. Whatever answer is, you're not understanding, we will go through it. So before succession planning, we will come to feedback mechanism. See, that is the reason why I wanted to do this topic, this recap, so that I could understand that what are the things that sir could cover and what are the things which is left, right? Because performance management system is huge. So many things are there. And it's very difficult for everybody to cover it in just 2, 3, 4, 5 classes, right? It takes time. And as I said, so many things are related to it. Even the laws that you are currently going through, they are also a part of it. So we will do the laws also in terms of what and why they are related to performance management system. Okay, so the right answer is like you are saying that generic cannot be the thing, subjective cannot be the thing. So obviously one thing which is left is timely. So for feedbacks to happen, as I'm just saying it, we se pehle wali slide maybe we discussed that it's very important that you don't give any surprises to any employee that at the end of the year you are sharing the feedback. It is a very, very regular thing which becomes a part of the performance management system in every organization. Right? आप appraisals annually कर सकते हो, but feedback mechanism or reviews has to go on a timely basis, the regular intervals. That's why performance appraisal से earlier जब HR का evaluation हो रहा था, people used to call it performance appraisals only. Later on, over a period of time, people realized, some HR gurus realized, some people realized that only appraisal cannot be a part of performance evaluation. There has to be many more other things. So that's why it became performance management system. And when something becomes a system, a lot of things becomes an important part of it. Right? So objective setting, quantifying the objectives, evaluation or measurement, then feedback, and then training and development. This all includes a part of performance management system. And obviously rewards and recognition. Yeah, that also. Right? So that's the cycle that actually works. It's okay, I'll show you that cycle, how it works. I'll show you a form that we usually create for organizations. Okay, next is, yeah, we came to this one directly. So many software vendor systems now feature tools designed to support more frequent performance discussions and to make it easier to track related learning and coaching activities. Do you think it's true or false?
Ma'am, true.
True, ma'am.
Right? So it's easy. Even if you've not seen any software, but it's a very common sense kind of a thing that coaching is an important part of system. Next आता है आपका providing employees with advice, support and encouragement in addition to guidance and direction for the future rather than reviewing past performance is an example of ABCD.
Ma'am, B, I think feedback.
I think B, ma'am. None of the above.
Okay. What else? सबने लिखे ना आंसर, तो बोल क्यों नहीं रहे हैं? बोलिए. It's okay. ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा क्या होगा, गलत होंगे हम. That's all. Nothing is going to happen.
मैम मैंने फीड फॉरवर्ड लिखा है पर कंफर्म नहीं हूँ. फीड फॉरवर्ड इसीलिए क्योंकि फीडबैक में हम जो चीज हो जाता है मतलब पास्ट उस पे फीडबैक देते हैं, पर इसमें वो फ्यूचर का बात कर रहे हैं, बस इसीलिए फीड फॉरवर्ड लिखा है क्योंकि रिसेंसी अप्रोच नहीं हो पाया.
Good. Correct answer. So the correct answer is it cannot be recency approach, right? Because it is not recent. Right? Feedback, why it cannot be feedback? Because we are saying that rather than reviewing past performance, feedback is majorly about discussing past or current performance. So what is feed forward? जैसे feedback है, so back की जगह पे forward आ गया है, so feed forward is all about futuristic actions and goals and how we can support some people.
Okay, ma'am, I thought there is no such word, feed forward. That is why I chose none of the above.
No, it's a very important part again of performance management system. These are jargons that HR people use. So last one, true or false, providing ongoing performance feedback can be challenging due to the increased time commitment and paperwork required. Is it true or false?
Ma'am, false.
True, ma'am.
क्यों true और क्यों false?
True इसलिए क्योंकि obviously paperwork और जो भी whoever the employee is, its commitment, employer both, its commitment is needed in the performance management or the performance feedback, and it's very lot of work. Their daily routine is also going, and with that this feedback form is also going, so it becomes quite busy. That is why I thought true.
Okay, and why is false? Don't hang in between. Either say yes or a no. Simple, right? And if you are saying yes, then say it why you are saying yes.
Ma'am, because today's technology, मतलब कि आजकल बहुत सी ऐसी technology आ गई है, just because of that it can be easier and not that much difficult. So I think that is the why I have chosen false.
प्राची, अधिरिचा, शक्ति, क्या लिखा है आंसर में?
Ma'am, I have written false because I think there are many more other challenges than this increased time commitment and paperwork.
Okay. अधिरिचा, शक्ति, हिमा.
Ma'am, I have written true.
You have written true. क्यों you have written true?
We have to providing ongoing performance feedback means we have to track continuously the employee, so we have to do other works also. So I thought it is time commitment time.
Okay.
So I have written.
Yes, Adiricha, you were saying something? We can't hear you. Akriti, Shakti, nothing from your side?
Ma'am, I think it's false.
Why do you think it's false?
Because feedback. Because it cannot be increasing the change of paperwork or any other requirements. I'm not totally.
Ma'am,
Okay.
I have written false, but I think it is true.
You have written false, but you think it's true. Why do you think and why do you do that? सोचोगे कुछ और, करोगे कुछ और?
Ma'am, because it increases the paperwork and time commitment.
Actually ऐसा होता नहीं है, right? These days what happens, as I told you initially, that 90% organizations have gone technology basis, right? There are easy softwares which are available, many easy softwares which are available out there, and actually if you are giving ongoing feedback means maybe every month or every quarter, then it is not really very time consuming and you don't need too much of paperwork requirements. Why? Because you are giving it timely, right? So अगर आप monthly दे रहे हो, for example, so month on month आपने साथ साथ देना शुरू कर दिया, so you have already fixed up in your calendar that how many people are there, and because अगर 500 लोगों की कंपनी है, so there won't be one HR for 500 people, right? There would be different HRs. So generally कंपनीज के अंदर क्या किया जाता है, HR स्पॉक्स बना दिए जाते हैं. HR स्पॉक्स मीन्स SPOC कहते हैं इनको. SPOC is meaning that for every few 70 people there would be one HR who will be responsible for these 70 people, minimum 70. और अच्छी organizations में the ratio is 1:50, 1:30. So for 30-40 employees there would be one HR person who will be responsible for their performance management, their welfare, the other activities, right? So when such performance things are available, so that means you have to only give feedback to 30-40 people on a month basis. कितना time लगता है? Maximum 4 या 5 दिन, right? Because you are giving regular feedback. So 4-5 days in a month, if you can take out for feedback mechanism, it's not really too much. Right? And it does not require, because it's happening periodically on a regular interval, you don't need too much of paperwork. अगर आप बड़े intervals की बात करोगे, 6 महीने में एक बार, साल में 2-3 बार, then you will need lot of commitment and paperwork. So the answer is false.
Question.
Again, it can be true for the organizations who are not using technology and software. For them, it can become very cumbersome.
Yes, ma'am, I have. Yes, ma'am. If 40 or 50 employees, an HR should have to give the performance, like, or it should come via managers, department manager.
See how the system works. Performance management system कैसे work करता है organization के अंदर? HR is the custodian of performance management system. मतलब आप system create कर रहे हो और system का रख रखाव भी आपके हाथ में है. You are the caretaker of that system. Entire system I'm talking about, right? Writing objective से लेकर metric से लेकर evaluation, training and development तक. Now, you cannot rate somebody's performance because you are HR, you are an outsider. That job of rating and giving measurement is of seniors.
Yes,
Department के अंदर ही.
Department
for every department, it's their job. But compiling those ratings and then giving feedback again is a part of HR. You become an integral part of the system.
Right.
So when we are talking about, see, that is the reason why, अगर आपने देखा होगा ये पूरा quiz है SHRM से लिया हुआ. SHRM is the largest society of human resource management in the world. Now you will see that in each question, out of these 19 questions, अभी तो मैंने 50 questions में से 20 निकाले हैं. Every question had a discussion about goals, feedbacks and performance, productivity. इसके अलावा कुछ होता ही नहीं है employees के पास करने के लिए. सो अगर हम फीडबैक की बात नहीं कर रहे हैं द पार्ट ऑफ परफॉर्मेंस मैनेजमेंट सिस्टम, दैट मीन्स हमने परफॉर्मेंस मैनेजमेंट सिस्टम का एक बहुत बड़ा पार्ट छोड़ दिया है. We have not understood it, we have not done it, right? So we have to do that because feedback के ही basis पर हमें पता चलेगा कि training and needs क्या है कंपनी की और employees की. उसी के basis पे उसी के basis पे पता चलेगा कि क्या conflicts आ रहे हैं, because maximum organization face problems immediately after performance management is happening in the organization. लोग खुश नहीं रहते हैं, employee feel dissatisfied कि मेरी रेटिंग तो मेरे हिसाब से बहुत अच्छी होनी थी, मेरे मैनेजर ने मुझे खराब दे दी, फिर वो एचआर के चक्कर काटते रहते हैं. एंड दीज आर प्रैक्टिकल प्रॉब्लम्स एंड दिस विल कम, राइट?
Every single time somebody is sitting there. Yes.
But it will not come if you give them regular feedback. Suppose अब आप स्कूल सिस्टम्स को देखो, आप हाउ इज द स्कूल सिस्टम वर्क्स. देयर आर डिफरेंट टेस्ट व्हिच हैपेंस, राइट? सिर्फ हाफ ईयरली और एनुअल एग्जाम नहीं होते ना, उसके बीच में 3 क्वार्टरली एग्जाम्स भी होते हैं, क्वार्टरली एग्जाम्स और यूनिट टेस्ट और जो भी आप कहना चाहते हैं उनको. उसके अलावा भी देन वीकली टेस्ट होते हैं. सम स्कूल्स आल्सो परफॉर्म दैट कि वीकली भी चेक करते हैं परफॉर्मेंस, और उसके रिजल्ट्स भी, चाहे नॉट इन अ वेरी फॉर्मल वे, बट इट इज शेयर्ड विद द पेरेंट्स, राइट? So why it is done? So that you can show the evaluation of your child's performance, that this is how your child is performing week on week. एंड देन जो बिगर यूनिट टेस्ट है जो मंथली हो रहे हैं वो भी आपको दिखा रहे हैं परफॉर्मेंस, उसका रिजल्ट भी साथ साथ आ जाता है. सो यू एज अ पेरेंट आर नेवर इन अ शॉक कि आपका बच्चा फेल हो गया या पास हो गया या 60% लाए या 80% लाए. यू आर अवेयर दैट यू नो व्हाई माई चाइल्ड इज गोइंग लो और माई चाइल्ड इज रियली परफॉर्मिंग वेल. एंड आपको पहले ही टेस्ट के बाद पता चल जाता है दैट द चाइल्ड इज नॉट परफॉर्मिंग वेल. दैट मीन्स यू एज अ पेरेंट इन कंसल्टेशन विद टीचर कैन परफॉर्म सम मेजर्स. तो वो फीडबैक भी देंगे आपको, तो वो आपने मेजर्स डाल दिए वहां पर, सो दैट यू कैन आइडेंटिफाई द रीजंस व्हाई द चाइल्ड्स परफॉर्मेंस इज गोइंग डाउन. यू विल डू समथिंग, एक्स्ट्रा क्लासेस लोगे, ट्यूशंस कराओगे, जहां बच्चा वीक है उस सब्जेक्ट के साथ टाइम स्पेंड करोगे, राइट? व्हाटएवर इज द प्रॉब्लम एरियाज, यू विल वर्क ऑन दोज थिंग्स. So the child's performance is never a shock to the child or to the parent at the end of the year. Right. That's how the system is. The similar system is incorporated in organizations. So now you are not a child, you are an adult yourself, and you are being given regular feedback that your performance is going down or you are doing really well, or what you need to become a successor. सक्सेशन प्लानिंग जो हम टॉपिक करने वाले थे आज, जो नहीं कर पाए, उसका मीनिंग यही है दैट सक्सेशन प्लानिंग इज ऑल अबाउट हाउ टू फाइंड आउट द नेक्स्ट लीडर इन द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. सपोज आई एम द HR हेड ऑफ द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, राइट? लेट्स टेक एन एग्जाम्पल कि YSI इज एन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, आई एम द HR हेड, राइट? यू ऑल 8, I have the HR people who are reporting into me right now. So we are evaluating the performance of all 8 people. Shakti, Hima, Vishakha, Srishti, सबकी performance हम देख रहे हैं, right? कि everybody is performing. And imagine अगर हम इन 6 महीने के time period में which we are spending together, you are not sharing any feedback कि नहीं Hima you are doing extraordinarily good और Srishti you are not doing well, कुछ भी नहीं share कर रहे हैं. So how do you think, and at the end of the sessions evaluation आया और C grade आ गए, D grade आ गए, how will you feel about it? कि मैंने तो सारी class attend करी, असाइनमेंट्स भी दिए, क्लास में पार्टिसिपेट भी किया, स्टिल माय परफॉर्मेंस इज लो, राइट? सो दैट इज द एंटायर सिस्टम दैट मंथ ऑन मंथ वी शुड बी कंडक्टिंग दीज काइंड ऑफ थिंग्स. Month on month there should be a revision, month on month there should be something, some feedback mechanism which we have to incorporate so that you know what you have not done correctly, right? That's
Yes,
how the
ma'am.
system will work. So that's how the organizations also work. Organizations who include regular interval reviews, monthly basis or quarterly basis, performs much better than the organizations who don't do it. All good companies you name in the world have a very formal and good system of regular feedback which comes to the employee. चाहे कितनी बड़ी हो, 20,000 लोगों की एम्प्लॉयज की हमारी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन थी, बट मंथ ऑन मंथ फीडबैक मैकेनिज्म सिस्टम चलता रहता था, राइट। एक 20,000 लोगों की ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के लिए 52 लोगों का डिपार्टमेंट था HR का, उनका काम ही यही था। दे हैव टू गिव द फीडबैक्स, दे हैव टू कीप 6 days in a month to give the feedbacks only. So that's how you have to work in the HR. All right, so next week Saturday we'll work on succession planning and feedback mechanism system, and then we'll start training and development Sunday onwards.
Okay, ma'am.
Come on.
So no assignments as such this week. Just ensure that you understand the word succession planning. Read about it whenever you get time, so that you can have a good discussion. Most likely I'm going to discuss it through a case study.
Okay, ma'am.
Right, after the definition and all those things, as you know, I don't really take the bookish wala thing कुछ भी, so वो मुझसे होगा भी नहीं और मैं करूँगी भी नहीं. So we will do discussion basis, integrated completely. थोड़ा सा research करके आना succession planning पे and feedback mechanism system पे. The name of the topic is feedback mechanism.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am.
All right, thank you so much for your time. Have a good week ahead.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good night, ma'am.
Good night.
Good night, ma'am.